My name is Linda Jackson. I'm 66 years old. And yesterday, my daughter texted in the family group chat, "Don't come to the baby shower." Her mother-in-law said I would make the whole event boring, and her husband, my son-in-law, supported her with a heart reaction. A heart reaction. Like he was agreeing with the most hurtful thing someone could say about his wife's own mother. I just replied, "Alright, I understood." If you've ever been treated like you don't belong in your own child's life, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because I need to know I'm not alone in this. I need to know that someone out there understands what it feels like to be erased by the people you gave everything to. Let me take you back to that moment, that exact moment when my phone buzzed on my desk at work. I was in the middle of reviewing fabric samples for a celebrity wedding, the kind of event that gets featured in magazines, the kind that people dream about for years. And my phone lit up with that group chat notification. You know that feeling when you see a message and your stomach just drops? Like your body knows before your brain catches up that something terrible is about to happen? That's what I felt. My hands were actually shaking when I opened it. The message from my daughter, Rebecca, my only child, the girl I raised by myself after her father walked out when she was 3, was so cold. So clinical. "Mom, we've decided it's best if you don't come to the baby shower. It's going to be an intimate gathering, and we want to keep the energy light and fun." Light and fun. Like I'm some kind of dark cloud. Like I'm a burden. And then, not even 2 minutes later, Susan, that's the mother-in-law, my daughter's husband's mother, she chimes in with, "Yes. We all agreed Linda would just make the whole event boring. No offense, but we want people who can actually celebrate properly. No offense." She said, "No offense like that makes it okay to stab someone in the heart." I stared at that message for what felt like an hour, but was probably only 30 seconds. And then, I watched as my son-in-law, Adams, added a heart reaction to Susan's message. Not to mine. Not to anything supportive of me. To the message, calling me boring. To the message excluding me from my own grandchild's baby shower. The group chat went completely silent after that. 12 people in that chat, Rebecca's friends, Adams's siblings, both sets of extended family, and not one person said a word. Not one person said, "Hey, maybe this is harsh." Not one person defended me. The silence was louder than any insult could ever be. I sat there in my office, surrounded by mood boards and design concepts for events that would cost more than most people's cars, and I felt like I was 16 years old again, getting picked last for teams in gym class. That same hot shame burning in my chest, that same feeling of being fundamentally unwanted. I typed back, "Alright, I understood." Not, "I understand." I was so rattled I couldn't even get my grammar right. And I hit send before I could write anything else, before I could beg, before I could ask what I did wrong, before I could humiliate myself even further. Then I put my phone face down on my desk and went back to work. Because that's what you do, right? You swallow the pain. You compartmentalize. You pretend that your daughter didn't just tell you that you're not welcome at one of the most important celebrations of her life. You pretend that your heart isn't breaking into 1,000 pieces. My assistant knocked on my door 20 minutes later to ask if I was okay, and I realized I'd been crying without even knowing it. Tears were just streaming down my face while I was looking at linen samples. She asked if I needed anything, and I told her I was fine. I'm always fine. That's what I've trained myself to say for 66 years. But here's what nobody in that group chat knew. Here's what my daughter conveniently forgot to mention to her snooty mother-in-law and her spineless husband. I'm not just Linda Jackson, a boring mom who doesn't know how to celebrate properly. I'm Linda Jackson, senior partner at Ashford and Klein Design Studio. I am one of the most sought-after event architects in this entire state. Maybe in the region. For the past 30 years, I have designed and executed luxury events that people talk about for years afterward. I did Serena Williams' sister's wedding rehearsal dinner. I did the governor's inaugural ball. I did a tech billionaire's 50th birthday party that had ice sculptures flown in from Finland and a performance by a Grammy-winning artist. I've done baby showers for B-list celebrities that cost more than Rebecca and Adam's entire wedding. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. They're excluding me from a baby shower when I literally design iconic events for a living. When I have built an entire career out of creating beautiful, memorable, joy-filled celebrations. When I have a reputation for making people feel special and seen and celebrated, but I'm too boring for my own daughter's baby shower. I didn't tell them any of this. I didn't defend myself in that group chat. What would be the point? If your own child thinks you're boring, if your own child is willing to humiliate you in front of a dozen people, what are you supposed to say? Actually, I'm very successful and important? That makes you sound desperate. That makes you sound exactly like the pathetic, boring person they already think you are. So, I said nothing. I went home that night to my empty townhouse, the one I bought with my own money, the one I decorated with pieces I collected over decades of traveling for work, and I poured myself a glass of wine, and I sat in the dark. The days after that were a special kind of torture. Rebecca stopped answering my calls. I tried 3 times. The first time it rang through to voicemail. The second time it rang twice and then went to voicemail, like she'd actively rejected the call. The third time I didn't even bother leaving a message. I texted her once, "Honey, can we talk about this? I'm confused about what happened." She left me unread. You know that term? Left unread? My 6-year-old self learned that term from my assistant when I asked why the message showed as seen, but Rebecca hadn't responded. Apparently, that's the ultimate dismissal now. You're not even worth the 30 seconds it takes to type a response. Meanwhile, Susan, the mother-in-law from hell, started posting on Facebook. Oh, she was subtle about it. She'd post things like, "Can't wait for this special family event this weekend. So blessed to celebrate with the people who matter most." With a photo of her and Rebecca and Adams all huddled together looking like a perfect little unit. Family event. The people who matter most. Every word was a calculated dig. Every post was designed to let me know that I wasn't family anymore, that I didn't matter. And Rebecca would comment on these posts. She'd write things like, "So grateful for you, Susan. You've made this whole process so special." With little heart emojis and celebration emojis. I'm not on Facebook much, I use it mostly for work, to showcase our events portfolio, but I'd find myself checking Susan's page like I was torturing myself on purpose. Like I was pressing on a bruise just to feel the pain again and again. Adams's sister posted a photo of centerpiece ideas with the caption, "Susan has such elegant taste. This shower is going to be incredible." And Rebecca commented, "I know. She's basically a professional. Basically a professional. I am a professional. I'm an actual, literal professional who does this for a living." But sure, Susan with her Pinterest board and her opinions about napkin colors is basically a professional. I wanted to scream. I wanted to comment on every single post and say, "Do you know what I do for a living? Do you have any idea who I am?" But that would make me look insane. That would make me look jealous and petty and exactly as boring and difficult as they'd already decided I was. The worst part, the absolute worst part, was that I started to believe them. I started thinking, maybe I am boring. Maybe I am too serious. Maybe I don't know how to have fun anymore. I'm 66 years old. I've worked my entire life. I raised a child alone. I built a business from nothing. Maybe somewhere along the way I forgot how to be light and carefree. Maybe I did become the kind of person who makes parties less fun just by existing. That's what rejection does to you. It doesn't just hurt, It makes you doubt everything you thought you knew about yourself. A week went by. Then 10 days. The baby shower was getting close, I knew, because Susan's Facebook countdown was relentless and I still hadn't heard from Rebecca. Not a word. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Just silence. I threw myself into work, because what else was I supposed to do? I had a client who wanted a garden party theme for her daughter's sweet 16, and I spent hours sourcing the perfect vintage watering cans and hand-painting flower pot centerpieces. My team kept asking if I was okay because I was at the office until 9 or 10 every night. I told them I was fine. And then, on a Wednesday morning, 11 days after that group chat message, my receptionist called up to my office. Her voice had this weird quality to it, like she didn't know whether to be amused or alarmed. "Linda, there's a woman downstairs at reception who's refusing to leave. She says she needs to speak to whoever handles luxury event planning, and she won't take no for an answer. She's being kind of intense. Should I call security or do you want me to send her up?" I almost said to call security. We get walk-ins sometimes, people who don't understand that we're a high-end boutique firm, not a party supply store. People who think they can just show up and hire us for their backyard barbecue. But something in my gut told me to see who it was. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was just that I needed a distraction from thinking about Rebecca. "Send her up," I said. I was standing at my desk, organizing some sketches, when I heard heels clicking down the hallway. Expensive heels. I know the sound. After 3 decades in this business, you learn to distinguish between department store shoes and designer shoes just by the click. My office door was open. And then she appeared in the doorway. Susan. My daughter's mother-in-law. The woman who called me boring. The woman who had been posting passive-aggressive Facebook updates for a week and a half. The woman who thought she was basically a professional at event planning. She was dressed like she was going to a country club luncheon, a cream-colored dress, statement necklace, designer handbag that probably cost $3,000. Her hair was blown out perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like someone who had never worked a day in her life, but somehow thought that made her better than everyone else. She walked into my office with this confident stride, this entitled smile on her face, already opening her mouth to speak to whoever she thought she was going to meet. And then she saw me. Behind my executive desk, in my corner office, with floor-to-ceiling windows, surrounded by framed photos of events I'd designed: celebrity weddings, corporate galas, luxury brand launches. She froze. Actually froze mid-step, like someone had hit a pause button on her entire body. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. Her face went pale and then red and then pale again. Her hand clutched her designer handbag, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "Linda," she finally said. It came out as barely a whisper. I didn't smile. I didn't stand up. I didn't offer her a seat. I just looked at her with the coldest expression I could manage and said, "Susan." What a surprise. She tried to recover. I'll give her credit for that. She tried to plaster on that fake smile, that society lady charm that she probably uses at garden parties and charity auctions. "Linda. I didn't realize, I should have known," she was stammering. Actually stammering. It was the most satisfying thing I'd heard in weeks. "You didn't realize what?" I asked. My voice was ice. Pure ice. That I work? That I have a career? That I'm successful? No, we hired a firm, you see, and I didn't know. When they said Ashford and Klein, I didn't make the connection. You didn't make the connection that the boring woman you excluded from your family event might actually be good at something? I leaned back in my chair. "Please, Susan, have a seat. Tell me why you're here." She sat down in one of the chairs across from my desk. She perched on the edge of it like she might need to run at any moment. Her hands were shaking slightly. Good. There's been a situation, she said, and her voice had completely changed. Gone was the confident, dismissive tone from the group chat. Now, she sounded desperate, almost panicked. The designer we hired for the baby shower, they backed out. This morning. Just completely backed out. Said they had a family emergency and they couldn't do it. I didn't say anything. I just stared at her. Let her squirm. The shower is in 48 hours, Linda. 48 hours. We have the venue booked, we have the guests invited, 60 people are coming, and we have absolutely nothing. No decorations, no setup, no the sign concept, nothing. We're completely screwed. Still, I said nothing. I wanted her to say it. I wanted to hear her actually ask me for help after what she'd done. We need an emergency redesign, she continued, talking faster now, more desperate. High-end, elegant, sophisticated. Something that will wow people. We have photos of what we wanted. The designer had put together a whole concept before they backed out, but we need someone who can execute it. Fast. Someone with connections, with resources, with a team who can work around the clock. She paused. Swallowed hard. Then added, someone like you. The audacity. The sheer audacity of this woman to sit in my office and ask me to save her event after calling me boring, after excluding me. How did you find me? I asked. The designer we hired recommended you. Said you were the best in the business. That if anyone could pull off a miracle in 48 hours, it would be Ashford and Klein. She let out this nervous laugh. I had no idea you were. I mean, I didn't know this was your firm. You didn't know, because you never bothered to ask about my work, I said flatly. In 3 years of your son being married to my daughter, you never once asked what I do for a living. You just assumed I was some boring, unimportant person who wasn't worth your time. Linda, that's not fair. That message in the group chat, it was a misunderstanding. You know how text messages are, they don't convey tone properly. I was joking. It was just a joke. A joke. I felt my jaw tighten. You thought it was funny to tell me I'd make my own grandchild's baby shower boring? I didn't mean it like that. You're taking it the wrong way. Her voice got higher, more defensive. We were all just stressed about planning, and I said something stupid, and everyone knows I have a big mouth sometimes, and my son-in-law thought it was so funny, he added a heart reaction. She didn't have an answer for that. She looked down at her lap. Here's what I think happened, I said, leaning forward. I think you decided from the moment Adams married Rebecca that I wasn't good enough for your family. I think you looked at me, a woman who worked her whole life, who didn't come from money, who raised a daughter alone, and you decided I was beneath you. And when it came time to plan this baby shower, you convinced my daughter that I didn't belong there, that I'd embarrass her. That I'd bring down the sophisticated, elegant event you had planned. That's not. And now your sophisticated, elegant designer backed out, and you're desperate, and suddenly boring old Linda doesn't seem so useless anymore. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Am I getting warm? Susan's face was bright red now. Linda, please. I know I screwed up. I know I said something horrible, and I'm sorry, okay? I'm genuinely sorry. But this isn't about me. This is about Rebecca. Your daughter. My son's wife. The mother of your future grandchild. She's going to be devastated if this shower is a disaster. Absolutely devastated. Every woman dreams about her baby shower, and hers is going to be ruined because I made a stupid mistake in hiring someone unreliable. So now, you want to hire me instead? Yes. Yes, exactly. You're the solution. You can save this. She leaned forward, trying to look earnest. And look, I know this is last minute and I know your time is valuable, so we'll pay whatever you charge. Whatever your rush fee is. We'll make it worth your while. Whatever I charge, I repeated slowly. Absolutely. Money is not an object. We just need this to be perfect. We need you to make it perfect. I opened my laptop, pulled up my email. Found the message I'd been looking at earlier that morning, an inquiry that had come in anonymously through our website contact form 2 days ago. An urgent baby shower request. Very specific design requirements, very demanding timeline. I turned the laptop around to show Susan. Did you send this? Her eyes widened slightly. Yes. That was me. I was reaching out to several firms, trying to find someone who could help after our designer flaked. You didn't include your name, I interrupted. The inquiry is from concerned party. But it includes very detailed specifications. Let me read some of them out loud. I scrolled through the email. Luxury floral installations, including imported peonies and garden roses, custom balloon art installation, designer linens and china, vintage furniture rentals including gold-leafed settees, professional calligrapher for place cards, specialty lighting design, custom dessert display with hand-painted macaron tower, artisanal gift bags for 60 guests with high-end candles and personalized items. I looked up at her. This is easily a $40,000 event, minimum, probably closer to 60 with the rush timeline. Susan's face went even redder. Well, yes, we wanted it to be special. You wanted it to be Instagram-worthy, I said. You wanted to show off. You wanted everyone to see how wealthy and sophisticated and perfect your family is. That's not. And you wanted to do it without me there. Without the boring mother who might ruin the aesthetic. I closed my laptop. The problem is, Susan, that events like this require hundreds of hours of work, design, sourcing, vendor coordination, setup, styling. My team would need to work literally around the clock for the next 2 days to pull this off. We'd have to call in every favor I have with florists and rental companies. We'd have to prioritize this over our other clients who actually respect us. We'll pay extra for the rush. It's not about the money. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Louder. I saw Susan flinch. Good. It's about the fact that you people thought you could treat me like garbage and then come crawling back the second you needed something from me. It's about the fact that you excluded me from my daughter's life and now you want me to make sure her party is pretty. Susan's eyes started to well up with tears. Crocodile tears, I was sure. Linda, please. I'm begging you. I made a terrible mistake. I said something cruel and stupid and I have regretted it every day since. The truth is, I was jealous. That stopped me. Jealous? Yes. Jealous. Because Rebecca talks about you all the time. About how strong you are, how you raised her alone, how you built this amazing career. Adams is always saying how impressive you are. And I felt like I couldn't compete with that. I'm just a housewife. I've never worked. I've never accomplished anything, so when it came time to plan this shower, I wanted it to be my thing. My moment to show that I could contribute something meaningful to Rebecca's life. And I pushed you out because I was insecure and petty and horrible. She was crying for real now. Hands shaking. I know I can't undo what I said. But please don't punish Rebecca for my mistakes. Please don't let her shower be ruined because I'm an idiot. I should have felt satisfied. I should have felt vindicated. This woman who had humiliated me was now sitting in my office, crying, begging, admitting that she was jealous of me. But all I felt was tired. Bone-deep tired. Because even now, even in this moment, it wasn't about me, it was about saving face. It was about making sure the event looked good. It wasn't about me being worthy of respect or love or inclusion, it was about me being useful. Let me ask you something, I said quietly. Does Rebecca know you're here? Susan hesitated. That told me everything. She doesn't, does she? She has no idea that you're begging her boring mother to save her party. I told her I was handling it. So, you're planning to take credit for this if I help you. You're going to let her think you fixed everything. You're going to be the hero. No. No, I'll tell her. I'll tell her it was you. I'll make sure she knows. When? I demanded. When will you tell her? Before the shower, so she knows her mother saved the day. Or after, once all the photos are posted and everyone has complimented your amazing taste and planning skills? Susan didn't answer. I stood up. I need you to leave my office now. Her face went white. Linda, please. I'm not going to design your baby shower, Susan. I'm not going to loan you my connections, my props, my team, or my expertise. I'm not going to bail you out of the mess you created. But, Rebecca. Rebecca made her choice when she uninvited me. She chose you and your opinion over her own mother. She chose keeping you happy over having me there for one of the most important moments of her life. Those are the consequences of that choice. Susan stood up, frantic now. You're really going to do this? You're going to let your own daughter's baby shower be a disaster out of spite? This isn't spite, I said, and I was surprised by how calm my voice sounded. This is me finally putting a boundary in place. This is me saying that I will not let myself be treated like I'm only valuable when you need something from me. This is me refusing to be a doormat anymore. I walked to my office door and opened it. Down the hall, I could see my assistant and two of my designers pretending not to watch the drama unfold. Security will escort you out, I said. Susan's face was a mess of tears and panic and rage. You're making a huge mistake. You're going to regret this. When Rebecca finds out you refuse to help, she'll what? Stop talking to me? Exclude me from family events? Susan, she's already doing that. I have nothing left to lose. I picked up my phone and called down to the front desk. Hi, yes, could you send someone up to escort our visitor out? Thank you. Susan grabbed her designer handbag, practically shaking with fury now that she realized tears weren't going to work. You're a bitter, spiteful woman. No wonder Rebecca didn't want you at her shower. No wonder your own daughter can't stand to be around you. That one hit. God, that one hit right in the center of my chest, right where all the pain had been living for the past 2 weeks. But I didn't let her see it. I just smiled that cold smile again and said, "Get out of my office." Security, a kind older gentleman named Alfred, ironically enough, appeared in the doorway. Susan shot me one last hateful look and then stormed out, her expensive heels clicking furiously down the hall. The second she was gone, my assistant rushed in. Linda. Oh my God. Was that who I think it was? Word had already spread, apparently. Small office, thin walls, dramatic confrontation, of course everyone knew. Yes, I said simply. The one who called you boring? Who uninvited you from your own daughter's baby shower? That's her. My assistant, her name is Jennifer, she's been with me for 8 years. She looked at me with this mix of admiration and concern. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I need to get back to work, I said. But my hands were shaking as I sat back down at my desk. Jennifer lingered in the doorway. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Someone who treats you like that doesn't deserve your help. After she left, I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. Part of me felt powerful, strong. Like I'd finally stood up for myself after a lifetime of being pushed around. But part of me, the mother part, the part that still remembered holding Rebecca as a baby, that remembered teaching her to ride a bike and helping her with homework and paying for her college and her wedding, that part was screaming at me that I'd just made everything worse. My phone started buzzing within the hour. First text, from Rebecca, "What the hell, Mom?" Second text, "Susan just called me in tears. Said you refused to help with the shower?" Third text, I cannot believe you would be this petty. This is my baby shower. Am my baby. And you're going to let it be ruined because your feelings got hurt? I stared at those messages for a long time. Your feelings got hurt. Like it was nothing. Like being excluded and insulted was just a minor inconvenience I should get over. I didn't respond. More messages came. From Adams, this time, Linda, I don't know what happened between you and my mom, but Rebecca is really upset. Could you please just help us out? We'll pay you. We'll make it right. From Susan, in the family group chat, the same one where she'd called me boring. Everyone, I have to share something difficult. I went to Linda today to ask for her professional help with the baby shower emergency. Despite knowing how much this means to Rebecca, she refused out of what I can only assume is jealousy and spite. I'm heartbroken that family conflict is affecting this beautiful celebration. Jealousy and spite. She was lying. Completely lying about what had happened, making herself the victim, making me the villain. And then screenshots started circulating. I don't know who took them or how they got shared, but suddenly images of our group chat exchanged the original one, where I was uninvited, were being posted and discussed. People were taking sides. Susan's friends were defending her. Some of Rebecca's friends were reaching out to say they thought what happened to me was horrible. It was a mess. A complete, total mess. But I stayed quiet. I didn't defend myself in the group chat. I didn't respond to the messages. I just muted everything and tried to focus on work. The day of the baby shower arrived. Saturday. It was a beautiful spring day, sunny, warm, perfect party weather. The kind of day that would have been lovely for an outdoor celebration if someone competent had been planning it. I got a text that morning from Rebecca, the shower is at 2 p.m. I know you're not invited, but I'm asking you to please drop off a gift. Please don't make this any worse than it already is. Drop off a gift. Like I was a distant acquaintance, not her mother. I thought about ignoring it. I thought about sending the gift with a courier service and avoiding the whole thing. But something in me, some stubborn, painful part, needed to see it. Needed to see what they'd managed to pull together without me. So, I got dressed. Nothing fancy, just a simple navy dress and flats. I wrapped a gift, a handmade baby quilt I'd been working on for months, stitched with love during late nights when I couldn't sleep. And I drove to the venue. It was at Susan's country club. Of course it was. The parking lot was already full of expensive cars. I could hear music and voices coming from the event space. I walked in carrying my wrapped gift, and the first thing I noticed was how sad everything looked. The decorations were clearly last minute. Drugstore streamers and balloons. Supermarket flower arrangements that were already wilting in the heat, folding tables with cheap plastic tablecloths. The kind of setup you'd see at a community center birthday party, not a luxury baby shower for a wealthy family. The food table had grocery store cookies and a sheet cake. No elegant desserts, no artisanal treats, no display. Just plastic platters and paper plates. The centerpieces were Pinterest fails mason jars with grocery store carnations and ribbon that were already coming untied. Guests were standing around looking uncomfortable, whispering to each other, clearly underwhelmed. And there, in the center of it all, was Rebecca. My daughter. 8 months pregnant, wearing a beautiful designer maternity dress, trying so hard to smile like everything was perfect. But I could see the disappointment in her eyes. I could see the way she kept glancing around, taking in how mediocre everything was. Susan was beside her, talking frantically to someone on the phone, probably trying to order more food or decorations or something, anything to save this disaster. I stood in the doorway for a moment, just taking it all in. And then someone noticed me. A gasp. An actual audible gasp from one of the guests, an older woman I recognized from Rebecca's wedding. Is that Linda Jackson? She said, not even trying to whisper. Heads turned. People stared. And then the whispers started. That's Linda Jackson. Wait, the Linda Jackson? From Ashford and Klein? Oh my God, I didn't know Rebecca's mother was Linda Jackson. She did my sister's wedding. It was incredible. She did the governor's ball last year. She's, like, one of the most famous event planners in the state. I watched as recognition spread through the crowd. These were society people, Susan's people, wealthy people who attended charity, galas, and luxury events. And they knew my name. They knew my work. I watched as Susan's face went from pink to red to white. She looked like she might be sick. I watched as Rebecca's eyes went wide with something between shock and horror and realization. I walked slowly to the gift table, a folding table with a sad paper tablecloth, and set down my wrapped quilt. Next to it, I placed a sealed manila folder. Rebecca started to walk toward me. Mom. But I held up my hand. I'm just dropping off a gift, like you asked. I won't stay. Mom, wait, I didn't know that Susan said you were just. Come. I know what Susan said. I looked at my daughter, this woman who used to be my little girl, and I felt my heart breaking all over again. You didn't want me here. You said I would make this event boring. So, I'm respecting that choice. But, Rebecca's eyes were filled with tears. If I had known if I'd known you did this kind of flesh, if you'd known I was successful enough? Important enough? Famous enough? I shook my head. That's the problem, honey. You should have wanted me here, because I'm your mother. Not because I might have been useful to you. The entire room had gone silent. 60 people watching this confrontation unfold. I gestured to the manila folder on the gift table. That's a portfolio of some of my work from the past few years. Celebrity events, society weddings, high-profile galas. I thought you might want to see what your boring mother actually does for a living. Rebecca's hand went to her mouth. She was crying now. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't. You did, I said quietly. You did know. You've known what I do for years. You came to my office. You've met my clients. You've seen the photos on my walls. You knew, Rebecca. You just didn't care. Because Susan convinced you I wasn't good enough, and you believed her instead of trusting me. Susan tried to interject. Linda, that's not fair. I turned to her. You came to my office 3 days ago. You begged me to save this shower. You told me money was no object, that you'd pay anything. And when I refused, when I set a boundary and said I wouldn't allow myself to be used like that, you lied to everyone about what happened. You told them I refused out of jealousy and spite. More gasps from the crowd. People were pulling out their phones now. Some were recording. This was going to be all over social media by tonight. The truth, I continued, my voice steadied despite the tears burning behind my eyes, is that you people wanted me to be invisible until you needed something from me. You wanted to exclude me from this celebration, but you still wanted to benefit from my expertise and my connections. And when I said no, when I finally stood up for myself, you tried to make me the villain. I looked back at Rebecca. I have loved you every single day of your life. I sacrificed everything to give you a good life, to send you to college, to support your dreams. And the first time your mother-in-law says something mean about me, you just agree with her. You choose her over me without a second thought. Mom, Rebecca was sobbing now. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I know you were, I said softly. And I hope someday you understand how much this hurts. I hope when your baby is born, and you love them more than life itself, and they grow up and become an adult, someday they exclude you from something important. I hope you remember this moment. I hope you remember how this felt. Behind me, something creaked and crashed. I turned to see that one of the cheap centerpieces had tipped over, spilling water and wilted carnations all over the plastic tablecloth. It would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. I looked at the mess, the sad decorations, the uncomfortable guests, the disaster of an event, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just sadness. I'm going to leave now, I told Rebecca. I'll always be your mother. I'll always love you. But I will never, ever let myself be treated like this again. Not by you, not by your husband, and definitely not by his mother. I started to walk toward the door. The crowd parted for me like the Red Sea. Nobody said a word. The only sound was Rebecca's crying and the uncomfortable shuffle of feet on the floor. I was almost to the exit when I heard Susan's voice, shrill and desperate. This is ridiculous. She's making a scene. She's ruining everything just like I knew she would. I stopped. Turned around one last time. Susan, I said, and my voice carried across the entire room. I didn't ruin anything. You did that all by yourself, the moment you decided to exclude me. And the saddest part? You could have had an incredible baby shower, truly incredible. I would have donated my time, I would have called in every favor I had. I would have created something beautiful, memorable and perfect, because that's what you do for your family. But instead, you got this. I gestured around the room at the cheap decorations, the disappointed faces, the obvious disaster. This is what happens when you value status and control over love and family. This is what you chose. I hope it was worth it. And then I walked out. I heard the explosion of voices behind me, everyone talking at once, probably taking Susan's side or Rebecca's side or my side. I heard Rebecca calling my name, begging me to come back. I heard Susan trying to get everyone to calm down, trying to salvage some dignity from the wreckage. I didn't look back. I got in my car and I drove home, and I finally let myself fall apart. I cried for hours. Not just about the baby shower, but about everything. About raising Rebecca alone after her father left. About every sacrifice I'd made. About every time I'd put her needs before my own. About the years I'd spent building a career just to prove that a single mother could be successful, could be respectable, could give her daughter a good life. And all of it, all of those years, all of that love, all of that sacrifice had somehow led to this moment where my own daughter didn't think I was good enough to attend her baby shower. The aftermath was brutal. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages, calls, voicemails. I turned it off eventually, but not before I saw dozens of notifications. The family group chat was exploding. People were demanding explanations. Rebecca's friends were reaching out. Susan's friends were attacking me on social media. Yes, they found my professional pages and started leaving nasty comments about how I was unprofessional and bitter. Someone had recorded a video from the shower. It was grainy and the audio was bad, but you could see me putting down the gift, you could see the confrontation, you could see me walking out while Rebecca cried. It got shared hundreds of times. Complete strangers were weighing in on whether I was a hero or a monster. Adams called and left a voicemail. I listened to it once, and only once. Linda, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you. I should have told my mother she was wrong. I should have told Rebecca this was all wrong. But I didn't, and I'm a coward, and now, everything is falling apart. Please call me back. Please. Rebecca needs you. But I didn't call back. Because here's what nobody seemed to understand: Rebecca didn't need me. She needed what I could do for her. She needed a mother who would be convenient and useful and quiet. She didn't need me. 3 days after the shower, I finally turned my phone back on. There were over 100 messages. I deleted most of them without reading. But there was one from my assistant Jennifer that caught my attention. You need to see this. She'd sent me a link to a blog post. Apparently, one of the guests at the shower, someone I didn't even know, had written about the experience. The headline was, "The Saddest Baby Shower I've Ever Attended, A Lesson in Family and Respect." I almost didn't read it. But morbid curiosity won. The blogger described the cheap decorations, the obvious lack of planning, and the uncomfortable atmosphere. She described the moment I walked in and how everyone suddenly realized who I was. She wrote about how she'd seen my work before, at a friend's wedding, and how stunning it had been. And then she wrote, "The mother of the expectant mother, Linda Jackson, one of the region's most celebrated event designers, stood in that sad, hastily thrown together space, and you could see the heartbreak on her face. Not because the decorations were cheap, but because she'd been excluded from something that could have been special." The young mother-to-be, her daughter, seemed to realize too late what a terrible mistake she'd made. I've been to a lot of parties in my life, but I've never seen something so uncomfortable, so tragic, so completely avoidable. It was a reminder that sometimes the people we take for granted are the ones we need most. The post had hundreds of comments. People sharing their own stories of being excluded by family, people saying they'd never book Susan's country club again, people saying they were going to hire me for their next event specifically because of how I'd handled myself. It should have felt like vindication. But it just felt hollow. 2 weeks passed. Then 3. I threw myself into work harder than ever. I took on projects I normally would have passed on: a corporate retreat, a retirement party, a quinceañera, anything to keep my mind occupied. Anything to avoid thinking about Rebecca. My team started to worry about me. Jennifer sat me down one afternoon and said, "Linda, you need to deal with this. You can't just work yourself to death to avoid feeling your feelings." "Watch me," I said. But she was right. I was avoiding it, I was running. Because if I stopped moving, if I let myself sit with the pain, I didn't know if I'd be able to get back up. 1 month after the baby shower, I got a call from Rebecca. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. "Mom?" Her voice was small, tentative. "Can we talk?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Can we?" There was a long pause. "I've been trying to figure out what to say to you for weeks. How to apologize. How to explain. And I keep coming up empty, because there's no excuse for what I did." I didn't respond. I just let her talk. "Adams and I have been fighting constantly since the shower. He blames me for listening to his mother. I blame him for not standing up for you. We're both right. We both failed you." She took a shaky breath. "And Susan. She's been uninvited from 3 different social events since the shower. People are talking. Everyone knows what happened. Her reputation is ruined. Part of me feels bad for her, but mostly I just feel angry that she put me in this position." "She didn't put you in any position," I said quietly. "You made your own choices, Rebecca." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know I did. And I've been trying to understand why. Why did I listen to her? Why I excluded you? And I think it's because I've always felt like I had to prove something to Adams's family, like I wasn't good enough for them. Like I needed to show them I could be sophisticated and classy and fit into their world. And Susan kept telling me that you were too working class. Too serious. Too focused on your career instead of being warm and fun like she is." The words hit me like a slap. Too working class. I know how that sounds. Do you? I felt anger rising in my chest, hot and sharp. "Do you know how that sounds, Rebecca? I worked myself to the bone to make sure you never felt working class. I gave you every opportunity. I paid for private school and college and your wedding. I did all of that as a single mother with a working class background, yes, but I did it so you wouldn't have to struggle like I did. And you're telling me you were ashamed of me?" "I wasn't ashamed. You were. You are." Susan told you I wasn't fancy enough for her country club friends, and you believed her. You looked at everything I built, everything I accomplished, and you decided it wasn't enough because I didn't have a rich husband to pay for it all. Rebecca was crying now. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I hate myself for it. I hate that I cared more about impressing Susan than about having my own mother at my baby shower. I hate that I let her convince me you were somehow less than when you're the strongest, most incredible person I know. Then why did you do it? I was crying too now, angry tears streaming down my face. Why did you choose her over me? Why wasn't I enough? Because I'm weak. Rebecca sobbed. Because I'm not like you. I don't have your strength or your independence or your confidence. I've always needed approval and validation, and I've always been scared that I'm not good enough, and when Susan started criticizing you, some sick part of me felt relieved that she wasn't criticizing me, and I let her. I let her talk about you like that, because it took the pressure off of me. The honesty of it was like a punch to the gut. All these years, I thought I was raising my daughter to be strong and self-sufficient. Instead, I'd somehow raised her to be insecure and desperate for approval from people who didn't deserve it. I don't know what you want me to say, I told her. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And I know, sorry isn't enough. I know it doesn't undo what I did. But I need you to know that I see it now. I see how wrong I was. I see how much I hurt you. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you. You can't make it up to me, Rebecca. Some things can't be fixed. There was a long silence. Then she said, "Does that mean you don't want to be in the baby's life?" My heart clenched. The baby. My grandchild. A baby I'd been dreaming about for months, imagining holding and spoiling and loving. I don't know, I said honestly. I need time to figure out what I can handle. What's healthy for me? Okay. Her voice was so small. I understand. Just. Please don't disappear completely, please. I hung up without promising anything. The next week, I got a handwritten letter from Susan. Actual stationery, actual stamps, delivered to my office. It read, "Dear Linda, I'm writing because I owe you an apology that can't be delivered through text or social media. What I said about you was cruel, untrue, and inexcusable. What I did excluding you and then trying to use you was manipulative and wrong. I've spent the last month doing a lot of reflecting. My therapist, yes, I'm in therapy now, helped me understand that my behavior toward you came from deep insecurity. I've never worked. I've never built anything of my own. My entire identity is wrapped up in being a wife and mother and hostess, and when I saw how accomplished you are, how respected you are, how much Rebecca admires you, I felt threatened. That's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And I want you to know that I've been honest with everyone about what really happened. I've told our family, our friends, everyone who will listen, that I was wrong about you, that you had every right to refuse to help us. That the disaster at the baby shower was entirely my fault. My son is barely speaking to me. My husband is disappointed in me. Several friends have distanced themselves from me. I'm facing real consequences for my actions, and I'm trying to accept that I deserve them. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry, and that I hope someday you can have a relationship with your grandchild, even if that means I need to make myself scarce. Sincerely, Susan. I read the letter 3 times. It seemed genuine. But I'd been burned before. And even if she meant every word, it didn't erase what she'd done. It didn't erase the pain. I filed the letter away and tried not to think about it. 3 months after the baby shower, Rebecca had the baby. A little girl. They named her Emma. I got a text with a photo. A tiny, perfect baby with dark hair and Rebecca's eyes. The text said, Your granddaughter. She's here. She's healthy. I wish you were here too. I stared at that photo for hours. This tiny person who was half my daughter, who carried my genetics, my legacy, this baby who I already loved despite never having met her. But I didn't go to the hospital. I couldn't. Not yet. I sent flowers and a gift card. Nothing personal. Nothing that required me to face them. More weeks passed. Jennifer finally staged an intervention. Okay, that's it, she said, barging into my office one afternoon. We're going to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Bullshit. Linda, you've been miserable for months. You're working 80-hour weeks. You're not eating properly. You're not sleeping. And you're missing out on meeting your granddaughter out of pride or hurt or whatever this is. It's not pride. Then what is it? I felt tears spring to my eyes. It's self-preservation, Jennifer. It's me finally putting myself first. It's me refusing to go back into a dynamic where I'm only valued when I'm useful, where I'm only included when it's convenient. I get that, Jennifer said gently. I do. But Linda. That baby didn't do anything wrong. And yes, Rebecca screwed up massively, but she's trying. She's really trying. Are you going to punish her forever? I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting myself. Are those different things? That question haunted me for days. Was I protecting myself? Or was I punishing Rebecca by withholding the one thing she wanted most, my forgiveness and my presence in her daughter's life? Could both things be true at once? I didn't have an answer. 4 months after Emma was born, Rebecca showed up at my office. My assistant tried to stop her, but Rebecca just walked right in, carrying this tiny bundle, tears streaming down her face. Mom, please. She said. Please just meet her. Please. You don't have to forgive me. You don't have to let me back into your life, but please don't punish Emma for my mistakes, please. I stood there, frozen, staring at this baby. At Emma. My granddaughter. She had my mother's nose. My mother, who died when I was 23, who never got to see me build my career or raise Rebecca or become the woman I am today. And here was this baby, carrying that same nose, that same genetic legacy. Can I hold her? The words came out before I could stop them. Rebecca's face crumpled with relief. She carefully transferred Emma into my arms, and the second I felt that warm, solid weight, something broke open inside my chest. She was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And she looked up at me with these big, curious eyes like she was trying to figure out who I was. Hi, Emma, I whispered. I'm your grandmother. I started to cry. Not angry tears or hurt tears, but something softer, something that felt almost like healing. Rebecca was crying too. Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I hurt you in a way that might never be fixed. But please, please let Emma know you. Please don't let my mistakes cost her a relationship with you. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. She'd lost weight since the baby. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair wasn't styled the way it usually was. She looked exhausted and overwhelmed and nothing like the polished, put-together woman who'd excluded me from her baby's shower. She looked like I probably looked 30 years ago when I was raising her alone, terrified and tired and just trying to survive. I'm not ready to go back to the way things were. I said quietly. I can't pretend that what happened didn't hurt. I can't just forgive and forget and act like we're one big happy family. I understand. But, I continued, looking down at Emma, I don't want to miss out on knowing this little girl. So we're going to set some boundaries. Real boundaries. And you're going to respect them. And if you or Adams or Susan ever treat me like that again, I'm gone. Do you understand? I'm gone. Rebecca nodded frantically. Yes. Absolutely. Whatever you need. Whatever boundaries you want. First boundary, I need you to go to therapy. Real therapy. To figure out why you were so desperate for Susan's approval that you threw me away to get it. I'm already in therapy. It has been 2 months. That surprised me. Okay. Good. Second boundary, Susan is not allowed to speak to me or about me unless absolutely necessary. I don't want her commentary. I don't want her opinions. I don't want her anywhere near me. Done. Adam's already told her she needs to stay away from you. Third boundary, you don't get to take me for granted anymore. You don't get to ignore my calls and then expect me to drop everything when you need something. You don't get to exclude me from your life and then pull me back in when it's convenient. I'm your mother, not your employee. I know. I know, Mom. I'm so sorry. I looked at Emma again, this perfect innocent baby who had no idea about any of this drama. And fourth boundary, this little girl never hears about any of this. She grows up knowing she's loved by all of us. She doesn't get poisoned by family drama and resentment. Can you promise me that? I promise. I absolutely promise. I rocked Emma gently, feeling her tiny weight in my arms, and I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, exactly. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it, maybe the start of a path forward. It's going to take time, I told Rebecca. I'm not going to bounce back overnight. There's going to be awkwardness and tension and moments where I'm still angry, but I'm willing to try. For her. Rebecca wiped her eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was 6 months ago now. Things are still complicated. Rebecca and I see each other weekly, but it's different than it used to be. We're more careful with each other. More honest. She's working through her issues in therapy. I'm working through mine. Adams apologized to me, a real apology where he took accountability for being a coward. He's been better about standing up to his mother, about prioritizing his family over his parents' approval. Susan and I are civil when we absolutely have to interact, but we're never going to be friends. She sends me birthday cards and holiday cards with these long, apologetic notes. I file them away without responding. Maybe someday I'll be ready to forgive her, but not today. The baby shower disaster became kind of famous in our social circle. It's whispered about at events. People point me out, that's Linda Jackson. Did you hear what happened at her daughter's baby shower? Some people think I'm a hero for standing up for myself. Some people think I'm vindictive and cruel. I've stopped caring what people think. My business is doing better than ever. Turns out, being the woman who refused to be a doormat makes you pretty popular with other women who are tired of being doormats themselves. I've gotten so many new clients who specifically sought me out because of what happened. And Emma? Emma is 9 months old now, and she's the light of my life. I see her 3 times a week. I babysit, I design, and sew her clothes. I've already started planning her first birthday party, not because anyone asked me to, but because I want to, because I love her. Because being her grandmother is the greatest joy I've found in years. Rebecca and I are rebuilding. Slowly. Carefully. It'll never be what it was before. That innocence is gone, that blind trust is shattered. But maybe it can be something better, something more honest, something built on mutual respect instead of obligation. Last week, Rebecca said something that stuck with me. We were at my place, playing with Emma on the floor, and she said, "Mom, I think I finally understand what you've been trying to teach me my whole life." "What's that?" I asked. That self-respect isn't selfish. Those boundaries aren't punishment. That loving someone doesn't mean letting them treat you badly. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. I watched you stand up for yourself when everyone was telling you that you were wrong. And it was the bravest thing I've ever seen. I want to be that brave someday. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just hugged her while Emma babbled happily between us. The truth is, I don't feel brave. Most days I still feel hurt and angry and sad about what happened. Most days I look at Emma and think about how I almost missed out on knowing her because of pride or pain or whatever you want to call it. But I also look at Emma and think about what kind of grandmother I want to be for her, what kind of example I want to set. And I realize that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is protect yourself. Sometimes loving yourself is the most revolutionary act there is. So, if you're out there, and someone in your family has made you feel small, or unwanted, or boring, or not good enough, hear me when I say this: you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to demand respect. And you are absolutely allowed to say no when people try to use you. It might cost you relationships. It might be lonely. It might be the hardest thing you've ever done. But I promise you, it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. And living with yourself gets a whole lot easier when you stop betraying yourself to make other people comfortable. I'm Linda Jackson. I'm 66 years old. I'm a successful event designer, a mother, and a grandmother. And I'm finally learning that my worth doesn't depend on whether other people recognize it. That's my story. That's what happened when I chose myself over being convenient. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.